just mindfulness or just breathing or just yoga wasn't enough. I loved how the combination of that plus relaxation and using lots of props and using games, all of those combined just made it a lot more fun for kids and kept their focus and attention. And I can go in and do like a 20-minute lesson and incorporate all those different tools at once. And they all work really well together.
I'm Jenny. I'm co-founder of United We Own. And here is Dylan, who is my son and big helper. And he asked if he could join today to learn. So we said, of course. For those of you that are new to United We Own, we're a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we share yoga and meditation directly with trauma impacted and under-resourced communities. So thank you for all your generous donations. All of those resources go to send amazing teachers like Lani, and we have a couple others here too that I see on the call. Hey, Rosa, to teach in places. Lani's taught for us in children in a homeless shelter and children in an under-resourced school in New Haven. And during coronavirus, we also decided this would be a great time to offer lots of resources to everybody around how to use these tools to work through anxiety and trauma. And so here we are, and we're very grateful that you're here live or joining us by the recording. Lani is so special. We are so grateful and honored that a teacher of her amazing skill and caliber is offering everything that she has created at this by donation basis so that everyone has access. It's such an important time for us to have these tools to share, and Lani's really generously made that possible. So I'm going to pass it over to her. I'll leave ourselves muted for today. Lani might ask to use the chat interactively. And then we have a 15-minute Q&A at the end, which we will record in case you can't stay. So that is the flow. And here's Lani.
Hello, everyone. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. This is always my big worry when I'm doing my Zoom workshops and classes. All right. So we're going to jump straight in, and I'll talk a little bit about myself in a little while. I like to always just dive right into the class. So we're going to sit with a mindful body. And you might be wondering, what is a mindful body? Think about what a mindful body might actually be. When I go into classrooms, some teachers call it active listening body or whole body listening. Maybe if you know, you can put it in the chat. So mindful body is the words that I use. So when we're in a mindful body, we're ready to learn, we're sitting calm. So when I'm in a classroom, and this is something that I don't know the next time we're going to have lots of kids sitting on a rug together. But when they're sitting on a rug together, I always say we're going to keep our hands on our own body. We're not poking or whispering the person next to us. I don't think that's going to happen for a while. So I think finding your mindful body wherever you are is a little easier these days. So I'm choosing to sit on the floor on a mat. But when I'm in a classroom or even other Zoom calls, or when I'm teaching on Zoom, sometimes I like to sit in a chair or a stool or a couch. So you find your mindful body wherever works for you. So we're going to start with one of my favorite ways to just center in. It's called stretch and hug. So we're going to inhale through our nose, and you're going to stretch your arms as wide as you can. So as you inhale, stretch your fingers out, maybe even reaching your arms back, showing your chest, like puffing it out a little bit as you stretch, stretch, stretch with a big inhale. And then as we exhale, you're going to give yourself a hug. And I want you to notice which arm is on top, and maybe even round your body a little bit forward as you exhale all the breath out. And then we're going to inhale and stretch again, big stretch. And then we're going to hug, but use the other arm on top. This is where the mindfulness practice comes into play. Paying attention, noticing which arm is on top, noticing the difference between arms as you roll yourself down. Let's do it again. I'm going to do a little quicker this time. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, hug. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, hug. And then take your arms up to the sky. And then we shake, 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 shake. Arms up to the sky. And then we shake, 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 shake. Now I want you to take your palms together, and we're going to do a little practice called creating energy. So we're going to rub our hands. Oh, and I don't have my ring on if my hands feel very different without my engagement ring on. I mean, my wedding band on, my engagement ring. So rub that rub and notice what is happening in your hands. And that's what I'm noticing. My hands feel different when I'm not wearing a ring that I normally wear every day. What do you notice when you're rubbing your hands? So we call it creating energy. So where is this energy coming from? Does anybody know? Inside your body. It's friction, right? Heat energy. So just notice what's happening. And then we're going to take our hands. You're going to put them over your eyes, maybe not even touching your face or anything. And just notice, do you feel anything coming off of your hands? And then breathe here while you notice. Okay, bring your hands back together. We're going to do it again. Create some more energy from inside your body. Great job. All right, take your hands and we're going to put them on our ears now. So this time, maybe you even close your eyes, but you don't have to. This is your choice. This is your practice. Maybe just look down if that doesn't feel right for you. So your hands cover your ears, but I'm not even touching my ears. I'm just putting them over it gently. All right, last one. Ready? We're going to bring our palms together one last time. Rub your hands. And this time, we're going to take our hands and we're going to put them over our heart. So all that heat energy we created, I want you to send that back into your body. Now, this is your choice if you want to close your eyes or not. And this is your choice if you want to look down or not, or just look straight ahead. You're going to send that love, that heat, that joy, whatever it is, into your body. And just notice what's going on. Maybe you feel your heart beating. And just notice what's happening in this moment. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it out. All right. Let's take our palms open. Our hands just worked pretty hard, did a lot of activity. And I want you to notice now any sensation you might feel in the palms of your hands. So this next activity or breath that we're going to do, I actually learned from Jenny of United We Own, and I named it elevator breath. It reminded me of an elevator. So as we inhale, we're going to lift our palms as all the way up with breathing in, filling our whole body with that breath as that elevator reaches to the top. And then you're going to turn your palms down. Let's go so slow. Let's imagine this is a really slow elevator and this breath is leaving our body so slow. Just notice what's happening. Just notice any sensation in your hands as you press the air down as the breath leaves your body. Let's do this one more time. Inhaling nice and slow. Lifting your palms. Any sensation? Do you feel the air? Are your hands still tingly as you reach the top? And then last time, bring your palms nice and slow. Let our breath leave our body so slow as we bring our palms all the way down to our knees. And then let them rest there. Whew. Now just notice how your hands feel. Let them actually rest really heavy into your lap, in your knees. Let your knees or your legs or your thighs, wherever your hands are resting, take the weight of your hands right now. And we're going to wiggle our toes and then relax them. Maybe move your bottom side to side in your seat and then come back to stillness. And then we're going to inhale our shoulders up to our ears and then drop them down nice and slow. Or actually, I did it really quick. Let's do it again. Let's do it really quick. Ready? Inhale all the way up and then drop them down really quick. Letting that air come out. Ah, nice job. And if your eyes were closed, open them. And if you are looking down, you can look up at me. And so whenever we breathe, we're always going to breathe in through our nose, but I'm always going to give the option of closing your eyes, looking down in your lap, or staying looking straight at me. So this is your practice, and you need to do what feels good for you. So what we just did, I call a mindful minute. It took us a little longer than 1 minute to do, but that's what I call it, a mindful minute. So we just did a little practice in mindfulness. So I want you to think about now, maybe notice how that practice we just did, like how you felt, all right? And maybe just notice how you're feeling in this moment, right? Now I want you to think back to maybe even like 15 minutes ago, an hour ago. Just think for a moment of your past. And it could have been like this morning. And just notice how that might be different than how you're feeling in this moment. Right? Now think about something that's going to happen later today or this weekend or even the fall, right? And think about that for just a moment. I won't leave you there for very long. And now come back to this moment and just notice how the difference, right? So if you want to put it in the chat, you know, what you noticed, or just think about like, what is the difference between how you were pre-mindful minute, how you might be thinking about things that haven't even happened yet, and then notice how you're feeling in this moment from that activity we just did. Future stress, yeah. Oh, yeah, so I'm not going to go there the rest of this time because, yeah, we know that, right? So we just practiced a mindful minute. We got very present, right? Let's see what else somebody wrote. Yeah, in the moment. Yeah. So I love hearing how this felt. For some people, practicing a mindful minute is a very new thing, right? So I'm just going to open up the chat just to read what some, I'm not focused on anything but the sensations. Dylan feels calm now, present, here now. Yeah. So that activity we just did, and that was a little bit longer, but I love to do that with students just to get us into that present moment. So thinking about what mindfulness is, what is mindfulness? So I'm actually going to I'm going to put in gallery view so I can see all your beautiful faces. Oh, there's so many of you here. I love it. So if you have practiced mindfulness before, you can give me a little wave. If you know what a mindfulness practice is, oh, look at all of you. That's amazing. So a lot of you guys have practiced it before, or you know what mindfulness is. So I'm just going to throw things out there, and this isn't as interactive as sometimes my live workshops are, but if you feel like shouting something out into, the Zoom world, even with unmute, feel free. So what is our brain doing all day? What is it doing? It's thinking, right? We're thinking. We're thinking about our past. We're thinking about our future, right? The past, everything that's happened, even like 10 minutes ago, thinking about the future, right? Things haven't even happened yet. And our thoughts are also filled with judgments, with comments, with worries, with to-do lists. Right now in this pandemic world we're living in, every time we have to leave our own house, right? You're thinking, okay, how am I safe? What am I doing to keep myself safe? So we're on a very different level than like our normal level. So we're all living in this little like low level anxiety and stress and trauma because we're all wondering, if we step out of our house, are we going to be safe today? And how are we going to make ourselves safe? So we have a lot going on in there, right? We're thinking. So I've been practicing mindfulness daily, and one of the teachers says it's like we're the star in our own movie, right? It's filled with pictures and stills and movies and soundtracks, but it's actually more opinion than actual facts, right? So what our thoughts are going on in our head isn't really the truth. It's just all these things that we're thinking about. If you ask kids, what are they thinking about, right? So I ask them all the time, what is going on in that mind of yours? They have a lot of thoughts also. They're thinking about their video games and their movies they like and playing with their friends and schoolwork that's really hard, maybe things that their parents said no to them that they really want to do. So kids have a lot going on in their brain too. They have lots of stresses and worries as much as we do, right? So does anybody know how many thoughts it is said that we have a day? So there was one study I found, and then I haven't read any since then, but this one study, they really tried to pinpoint in an adult. And they said it's about 60,000 thoughts in a day. And that 95% of these thoughts were the same as yesterday's thoughts. That's kind of crazy too, right? So much stuff is going on in there. So does anybody know what we call all these thoughts in our brain? It's like a yoga term that we call it. And I like to say, you guys probably know it, right? The monkey mind. I love teaching kids about the monkey mind. It's like monkeys swinging on vines, from vine to vine. It's all your thoughts, that movie that's going on in your brain all day. So when we take a mindful minute, we're giving that thinking, busy mind of ours a break, right? So do you think it's an important thing to give our mind a break from all those thoughts all day long? It's so important to give our brain a break, even if it's just a minute or 5 minutes in the morning. Our brain needs a reset. But the thing about mindfulness that's really cool is that we're not trying to clear our mind, because that's never going to happen. The thing about mindfulness that's so cool is that it gives us that opportunity to like notice, well, what is it that I'm thinking about all the time? What are these thoughts? What are these worries? And it gives us that like outside perspective of being able to look into what is going on up there. And that's basically what it is. We're just noticing our thoughts for a minute. And when we notice them, you can also say to them, and this is your power. I always call this a superpower. You have that power to say, hey, I don't need that thought right now. I'm going to come back to my breath, or I'm going to come back to how my body's feeling. And that's why I love so much to lead kids and teachers and people in that mindful minute, because it really brings you into that present and how you're feeling and your breath, or just noticing like what's going on in your body. And it really kind of takes you away from those thoughts. But it's okay if those thoughts come up, because when they come up, it's like a puppy. You notice them, right? So I noticed that thought, call it over and say, I don't need you right now. So the thoughts are there, and we are just going to say, hey, I'm going to come back to whatever it is I'm focusing on in this moment. And so teaching kids to just do this in 1 minute, 2 minutes. And as you get, older kids, you can try it for longer periods of time to give our brain a much needed break. So I thought, as you get better at this mindfulness practice, I love to bring it into my everyday. I love to bring it into like chores that I dislike doing, like dishes. All of a sudden I'm doing dishes and I'm thinking, I really don't like dishes, and my to-do list starts going on in my brain. But then I'll notice that's happening, and I'll come back to like washing the dishes and how that feels, because it's a chore I definitely do not like doing. So then we can start incorporating this mindfulness into walking around our neighborhood, noticing things, noticing sounds, and bringing just like those simple little things to our students and to our kids. And we're going to learn a lot more as we keep on going. So, I have a lot of notes because I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So does anybody have any? We're going to have comments and questions at the end. So if you have a comment or a question about anything that we just talked about, write it down, or you can put it in the chat, and I will get back to that in the Q&A at the end, but I might cover it. So I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes about why I do this work and what this work is, and just really quick, because I really want to get into it more and all the other tools that I teach. But and it might be a little confusing because you see my Full of Joy yoga sign behind me, and this is my mindful yoga breaks. So my name is Lani Rosen-Gallagher. I actually live in New Haven, Connecticut, but I started my business Full of Joy Yoga 17 years ago, which I still can't even believe, in San Francisco, when I lived in San Francisco for 4 years. And at the time, which is very unbelievable, I was one of like 2 or 3 people teaching kids yoga at the time. Now there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but there was really nobody doing kids yoga. And I went into schools, I went and did after school programs, and I did preschools, but it was really hard to get into the school day. And that was my main goal. I formerly was a first grade teacher in Brooklyn, New York, before I left that to do kids yoga. I taught first grade for 5 years in the New York City public schools in Coney Island. And my first graders were coming in. It was very different than they were learning to read and write in first grade, not kindergarten at that point. And when they were coming in, they were very unfocused. They had a lot going on at home. They were at-risk trauma kids who came in with a lot of trauma in their home lives. And it was really hard to teach them. And it was just me. There were no powers in my room. A lot of kids were being evaluated for special needs, but they didn't have an IEP, so there was no power for them. And it was a very difficult teaching situation for me. And I was already a practicing yogi, and I thought, hey, what if I start doing this in my classroom? So I started doing breathing exercises. I started doing yoga with them, and I noticed it actually worked. So after 5 years of teaching in New York City, I said, I just want to teach kids yoga. And I took a kids yoga training. I did my 200-hour, and I moved to San Francisco with my, at the time of my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I started my business there. And I always knew that getting into the school day was like the thing, because I knew it worked for me. And it's really hard to get in the school day because administrators say there's not enough time and there's not enough money. So that was always what made it really challenging. So after school programs, no problem. Preschools, no problem. When I moved to New Haven, Connecticut, and I'm from New Jersey, but my husband is from West Hartford, Connecticut. When we moved to New Haven, I said, this is my number one goal. I am getting into those New Haven public schools if it's the last thing I do. So I started my business here, and there was an amazing program called Boost in the New Haven public schools, and they would take in outside vendors who had really cool programs. So I had always submit my Full of Joy yoga program, and a lot of schools took me in, and that's how I made all my connections with all the principals, like a lot of principals in New Haven, and they would bring me in. And after 4 years or 5 years, that money ran out. And one of the teachers said to me, you need to make visuals to go with this. We need pictures, we need cards, we need posters. So that's how Mindful Yoga Breaks was born. And so Mindful Yoga Breaks is like a subset of Full of Joy Yoga. And I had taken on a partner for a little while. And you guys are going to, if you want, you're going to learn how to use the card deck and the poster, which we're going to learn about in a minute, and how the visuals also can help with it. So you can do it like it's a full card deck or PDF. But there's so many ways to teach this. You don't have to have the visuals. It was just as teachers, they were like, our kids need the visuals. So that's what I created for Mindful Yoga Breaks. So then Mindful Yoga Breaks, I found that just mindfulness or just breathing or just yoga wasn't enough. I loved how the combination of that plus relaxation and using lots of props and using games, all of those combined just made it a lot more fun for kids and kept their focus and attention. And I can go in and do like a 20-minute lesson and incorporate all those different tools at once. And they all work really well together. So that's what Mindful Yoga Breaks is. So I'm going to keep on going with what we're going to do because I don't want to talk about me anymore. I want to keep going with the actual work because we don't have that much time together and this is important stuff. So however you're sitting, I'm actually going to come up onto my seat now because we're going to chat, and I'm actually going to put myself back in speaker so I can make sure I'm sitting in a way that you guys can see me. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about our brain now, and this is information that I learned. Let's push this up a little bit. This is information I learned, and I'm really good at hearing information and saying, that's really amazing. How can I take that information and teach it to kids? And so that's what I do. So somebody taught me about naming different parts of the brain. Many years ago, I learned it and I said, oh, I love that. I'm going to teach it that way. So I'm going to introduce you to my friends. This is the whole basis of how I teach all the tools that I teach. So this is my friend and his name is Bully the Bulldog. Can you guys say, hi, Bully? All right, so Bully the bulldog is the name we give to a part of our brain. Do you think there's really a dog inside our brain? Dylan, do you think so? You're the only kid here. No, there's definitely not. There's no dog inside our brain, but it is the name we give. So everybody take your hands and you're going to put them in the back bottom part of your brain. You can give it a little massage, a little squeeze, because this part of our brain is working overtime right now. Okay, this is the one. Does anybody know the name of it? I'm sure all of you guys do. If you do, just shout it out, type it in. Yes, it is the amygdala. You guessed right. I know you guys knew that, right? It's our fight, flight, freeze part of our brain. This is the part of our brain right now that is working like overtime. Does anybody know at what point it is fully developed in our bulldog part of our brain? 2 years old, right? So our amygdala at 2 years old, fully developed, right? So this is the part of our brain that deals with big emotions and is kind of like a fire alarm, right? It's kind of like a bulldog protecting you. It's your protective brain. So when it senses danger or you're not safe, it says like fire, like a fire alarm, like it goes off. It doesn't always go off when there's danger, but when it senses danger. So kids born into trauma who don't feel safe, right, who have not been given the care and the attention they need from the time that they're a baby, they're living in a world that they deem not safe. So they're always, that bulldog is coming out at all times. And for all of us, maybe we've had traumatic situations. Maybe we were born into trauma as well, or maybe we were not. Right now, we are all firing off on this like low level of trauma living in this pandemic world. So for people who have been born into trauma, they're at like this level all the time right now. I wasn't born in a trauma situation. I had a very, I got everything I need, but I'm feeling, because of this unsafe world, like I'm at this little low level of anxiety, which I'm sure most of you guys are at also. And some of you might be at different levels based on your history. So we're all feeling this little level, this low level or high level of trauma at all times right now. And kids born into trauma, I mean, it's by 2 years old, they're like, I don't feel safe. So now this bulldog part of my brain is ready to go off. What does it do? So we feel these big emotions. Things happen, right? So what kinds of things might happen to cause big emotions, right? So when you think about preschoolers, what is like the number one thing preschoolers face like with each other? It's sharing. That kid has my toy. I want that toy. That's what happens. Their bulldog goes off. And what do? They react. When they react, what do? They grab the toy from the other kid, or they push the other kids. So when we have big emotions, when we're angry, when we're sad, when we're anxious, when we're worried, all those big emotions, we make not so good choices. And these choices could be hurting somebody's body, hurting your own body, breaking something, slamming a door, yelling. And not only we do things externally to others or to ourselves, think about how you feel when you're worried. What happens to your body, right? You get stomach aches. So before I teach any workshop, my stomach, I internalize it. I'm like, oh, my stomach every time. And it's just what my body does. Maybe your palms get sweaty. Maybe you start to sweat. Maybe your face gets warm. Maybe your shoulders get tight. What else? Like your heart starts beating fast. This amygdala was set up for when you face a bear in the woods, right? So you're walking in the woods back in the day before we had cars and streets and all of the stuff we have. You're walking in the woods, you see a bear and you stop and the bear is there. If you didn't have this amygdala, you'd probably want to pet the bear. Would you pet the bear, Dylan? I hope not, right? I go into classes and the kids are like, I pet the bear. I'm like, you definitely would not pet the bear. Like you would be face to face with the bear and you would be like, I don't know what to do. Think of what happens in your body in that moment, right? That's for kids born into trauma. Everything that doesn't make them feel safe in their world is the bear at all times. A kid having their toy, another kid playing with something they want is the bear. So their mom saying no is the bear. Like for all of us, we have those moments where we're not feeling safe and we're really angry or we're feeling unsure, we're feeling worried, we're feeling anxious, and we react. So this bulldog part of your brain causes you to react and not make very good choices. So that's what it does. Our digestive system shuts down. All kinds of things happen. Think about moments in your day that cause that to you. So for some kids, for adults too, somebody says, no, you can't do something you really want to do. That is a number one thing, right? That makes us really angry. Now, I also say to kids, are we allowed to be angry? Are we allowed to be angry? Yes, being angry is such an important emotion. So emotions are these, like we're in, these emotions are like we're in action, right? Motion, we're emotions in action. We're feeling these big emotions, and then we feel like we need to do something with them. So we need to get them out in some way. So we make bad choices when we want to get them out. You throw things, you break things, maybe you hurt somebody's body. Like a lot of things happen when we're not thinking straight and our bulldog comes out. So that is this guy. And right now, most of us are in that low level state. A lot of us are in a really high level state of this bulldog out. And what do we do about it, right? So we need to figure out how to calm it. So that mindful minute, right? That's a great tool to use to calm your bulldog. For some of you, it probably worked. But for others, there's so many other things we need to figure out. So we also have this part of our brain. So this guy is our wise owl. So I love my wise owl. So we're going to go like this with our hands right here. This is what this guy is called Swoops. So you guys can say hi, Swoops. This is our wise owl part of our brain, and it works in conjunction with our amygdala. Does anybody know what this is called? You guys know. I'm sure you all know. Prefrontal cortex, right? So this is your thinking, thoughtful brain. This is the part of your brain that helps you learn and think and have fun, make good choices, rest and digest. This is when your body is functioning properly. All the things are happening the way they need to be. You're making good choices, you're learning, you're having fun with your friends, you're playing, you're doing all kinds of things. Your wise owl, your prefrontal cortex is doing great. But then what happens? Something happens that makes us angry. Your mom says, no, you can't do that. Or a teacher, whatever happens in a classroom right now, what's happening, like we can't be with the people we want to be with. We're in an unsafe world. This bulldog is out. Do you think this guy can do the important jobs? They really can't work together. They do work together in certain ways. In other ways, they just don't. Like this guy cannot work when this guy is out. So if we can figure out a way to calm the bulldog, then we can use our wise owl to make better choices. So instead of reacting with this guy, we can take a pause and then we could respond better. Are we allowed to still be angry? Yeah. There are a lot of things out in the world right now to be angry about. Believe me, I am angry about a lot of things. But I'm making better choices in how to deal with that anger, right? So we are definitely able to feel angry. We are allowed to feel worried. We're allowed to have all these big emotions, and we're allowed to be sad for sure. But is it a good choice to hurt our sister? Is it a good choice to hurt another person? Not a good choice. Is it a good choice to say something not so nice to somebody? Not a good choice. It happens when we react. But if we can just take that step back, figure out how to calm that bulldog, we can make a better choice with this guy. So what are the things that help to calm our bulldog, right? Help us to make those better choices. So we can practice yoga, we could practice mindfulness and meditation. And then the next thing I'm going to teach you is like the number one thing that helps us to calm that bulldog. It's something that we do all day long to keep us alive. Does anybody know what that is? It's breathing, right? So we don't have to pay for it at the store, right? Our breath is free. But when we breathe, we're usually just breathing to stay alive. We don't really use it as a tool, most people. A lot of you here probably already do know that this is like a number one tool that you have to help calm that bulldog. But a lot of us didn't know that. I didn't know that for a really long time in my life. I feel like my whole childhood would have been very different if I had known that I could breathe and get calm from my emotions. Oh my goodness, what a revolutionary thing that is. So teaching this to kids that, oh my goodness, you have this free tool at your fingertips that you can use to help calm you. Amazing. So that's what this next part is going to be. So we're going to learn how to breathe. So I know that a lot of you guys probably have some really great breathing exercises, but I call the breathing exercises something very specific. So we're going to do another little fun thing. We're going to pretend that we are in a boat. Has anybody here ever been on a boat before? So we're going to get in a boat, but this boat is in a storm. So I'm going to sit in my boat pose. I'm going to lift my feet And this boat is in a storm, so I'm going to rock side to side. And that doesn't feel very good to me. This makes me a little sick, a little worried, a little anxious. I do not like being on a boat in a storm. How about you? So there's something on this boat that I can throw overboard that will help calm it. Does anybody know what that is? Yes, it's an anchor. Get your anchor. Everybody get your anchor. Throw it overboard. Bring your feet down. All right. So this anchor just calmed our boat when that boat was out of control. We too have an anchor to help calm us when things are out of control. Because when we're feeling angry about things or sad or worried, it's things that we don't have control over, right? We do have control over the choices we make. So that too is a superpower. And right now, we can choose to anchor ourselves and use an anchor breath to help us calm our bulldog. So that is when things are out of control, it's not going to change what is out there, the thing causing us to be angry or causing us to be sad or worried. But if we can take control back and find that tool to calm us, that's our anchor, right? For when things are out of control. So I have a few breaths that I like to use, and we call our anchor breaths. So what I created to go with the card deck is, I'm going to show you nice and close, is this poster. And it says, what can we do to make a wise owl choice and calm our bulldog? Take an anchor breath to calm your bulldog. So this also comes in Spanish too. And it's a PDF you can like download if you want. So it says, use your favorite to make a wise owl choice. So I chose these 6 breaths just to make it simple for kids. So teachers can like hang this in their, or parents, you can hang this up. So it's a reminder. And the way I'm going to teach you all 6 breaths, but the way that I've had schools teach these breathing exercises to the students, they'll choose one, and that will be the breath of the week, and it'll go on their board. So I know schools are going to look very different, and you might want to do this as a teacher, have this, like make a little video of you doing this to put in your online learning classrooms, right? So, and I did that for my son's school. I made a ton of videos because I go in there and I teach live to all of the classes in that school, and I couldn't do that. So I just made a bunch of videos that they put in their Google Classroom. And that was something that the kids can use when they needed it. So we're going to go over each of these 6 breaths. And I like to do it as I like to do games related to it, or we just do one a day, one a week. We're going to do all 6 right now. And I'm going to show you a way to learn the anchor breaths as a game. And you could do this on Zoom. You can do this in a classroom. So I like to use a dice, and I make these number cards to go, and then I put the breathing cards next to each number. So I have a card for each one, and then the directions on each card are so kids, like once they can read, they can actually follow it themselves, and it has the pictures. The first one we're going to do before I teach you the game, though, is the one that hooks everyone. It's like the most fun. Do you guys know this one, this breathing ball? It's so funny about the breathing ball. It's called a Hoberman Sphere, and I'm sure all of you guys know about this. But like 20 years ago, some kids yoga teacher was like, this is the best way to teach breathing to kids. And I don't know if Hoberman Sphere company knows why they sell so many, but teachers now, every teacher has one, which is amazing, that they're in like every classroom. Every kids yoga teacher around the world uses it. It's really just such a fantastic breathing tool. So everybody take your hands just like this, and you can make a ball, and we're going to inhale through our nose. Whenever we inhale through our nose, so this is what calms your bulldog. I always tell this to kids, 3 to 5 breaths through your nose is what calms your bulldog, okay? So you're going to do the ball with your hands. And I always say this too, is that if you're on the playground, your friend says something not so nice to you, and you're really angry, and you really want to say something not so nice back, but you decide, I'm going to take a breath and get myself calm before I respond to her. You can use, you don't have this on the playground, but what do you always have? Your hands, right? So we want to always be able to do all these things without props. Props are fun, but you need to be out in the world doing things without them. Okay, here we go. I'll stop talking. Ready? Big inhale. And then big exhale. Big inhale. And you could exhale either your nose or your mouth, but we always inhale through our nose. Inhale. And exhale. And for kids, it's like the first time, every time. I might have used this like 1,000 times in a classroom, but for them, it's the first time every time, which is very sweet. They just love it. All right, I'm going to do one that the kids call the tricky one. Ready? Nice job, everyone. Just notice how that made you feel. Great. So we're going to do the other anchor breaths. Now, what happens if you take too many breaths at once? You can get a little lightheaded. So we're not going to do 3 to 5 breaths of all the breaths. We're going to do like 2 of each one. And I'm going to show you how I do the game with the kids, and then we'll go through them. So this is a fun way to teach the breaths. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to put my number cards out. So I put them either on the chalkboard, and then with Zoom, you got to line it up in the proper way. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. You guys, I'm going to just kind of do it quick so you get the idea. And then I put the cards, right in front. And this is just a different way of doing it. We already did this guy. So then I'll call on somebody who has a birthday to roll the dice. And so we roll the dice, and they would roll across the entire room, and we got 6. So 6 would be butterfly breath. So we're going to do butterfly breath. Now, I want to show you. In the card, she's sitting in butterfly pose. That doesn't feel good for everyone. So I tell the kids, you can sit in butterfly pose with your feet together, or you could sit crisscross yoga sauce, or I like to do butterfly breath standing up. So there's so many variations. So I'm going to do it standing up. You can choose. I feel like standing up right now. So you can choose how you want to do butterfly breath. So if you're standing, spread your toes of both feet. Find the ground. Just notice how the ground feels beneath your feet. Now we're going to do a little imagery here. Arms out to the side. If you're sitting crisscross yoga sauce, if you're sitting with your feet together in butterfly pose, bring your arms out to the side. And I want you to imagine your beautiful butterfly wings. So there's a lot of butterflies in my yard right now because I have some butterfly bushes. Maybe some are in your yard. Imagine the ones that you've seen and picture the color of their wings. So I want you to picture, maybe if you haven't seen a butterfly, just imagine what your favorite butterfly would look like. And we're going to inhale as we go all the way up. And exhale nice and slow all the way down. Inhale all the way up. And exhale all the way down. And again, when we do breathing exercises, always give the kids a choice. You guys take that choice, whether you want to close your eyes, look down. Because remember, kids born into trauma don't feel safe with closing their eyes, some of them. So always giving them the choice of what feels good in their body. But you can also add, when you have a group, say, if you close your eyes, I'll keep my eyes open, and I promise that I'm watching all of you to keep you safe. But I also encourage, any grown-up in the room to say, you do what feels best in your body at any moment, because this is your practice, right? All right, so we're going to go through all the rest of them without rolling the dice. I'm going to come back to my seat. All right. So this one we're going to do is called Take 5. So we're going to take 5 fingers, and now you're going to make a fist. So the thing about this one you can also say is, like, think about when you're angry, right? What does your body do? You get really tense. Maybe you even want to make a fist. And some people you work with, like, they get angry, their first instinct is to make a fist and want to punch, right? That's what they want to do. But we're going to take this fist and we're going to turn it into a breath. So you're going to inhale, and we're going to make our fingers open up for 5, and then we're going to close for 5. This is called one-to-one breathing because we're taking a breath, the same inhale, the same amount exhale. So here we go. Inhale, and then exhale. Now, sometimes when the kids get older, they don't really want to put their hand up. They think it's not that cool to have their hand up like this. So I tell them, your hand could go on your knee, and you can do it like this. And you get really good at it, just count in your head. And eventually, maybe 5 isn't your number for breath. Maybe you have a different number. Maybe you can inhale and exhale for 6. Maybe you can inhale and exhale for 7. So now you're giving them these tools. Like all of this is about giving kids the power to make these choices for themselves. This is self-regulation. This is giving them the ability to choose what tool is going to work for them. And they get to do it in the way that feels best for them, not the way that you tell them to do it. So giving lots of choices, lots of options is how kids feel successful, because then it becomes their own. And they say, this is how I want to do it. And this is what works best for me. And as we go along with this, I want you as teachers and parents to think about your list of things that you will use to calm your bulldog, because we all need that list. We're giving kids the tools, but you need them too, because we're their models, and we're like the nervous system of the room, right? So if we are feeling up here anxious, guess where all the kids are going to be? They're going to be up here. If your kids see you feeling anxious and worried and nervous and angry all the time, guess what they're going to be? Anxious and nervous and worried and stressed all the time. But if you can find tools that you can use to calm yourself, then the kids are going to notice that, and they're going to be at the same level as you. So that's just what I have noticed, and in my own life. Like, I feel like when I'm up here, if my husband's up here, if we're all in that place, my son is going to be up here as well. So we want to make sure that we have those tools for ourselves, because we need them as much as the kids need them. And we need them in order to be able to take care of our kids, because we're the caretakers. And in this uncertain time, we have to take care of ourselves. And if that's just finding all the things that are going to work for you, incorporating a mindful minute every morning. Like during pandemic, I actually finally incorporated a daily meditation mindfulness practice, and it's because I used Insight Timer. I've had a moving meditation practice for years, where I do it in all kinds of circumstances out in the world, but I never felt that. I never loved having a sitting one. My sitting practice has helped me get through this pandemic. So if that's something that you can add to what you're already doing, or you really need that one thing that's going to help you get through this, that has gotten me started my day every day. And it's changed the way I've approached my day. Not to say that I'm not getting anxious and stressed about things, because yes, I am very worried about a lot of things, but I know I have tools to manage them at this point. So that's the other part of it. So maybe out of these 6 breathing exercises, you find one that's going to be the one that works for you, add it to your list. All right. Flower breath. Sorry, I always get off on these little tangents. Insight Timer changed my life. Yeah, I love it. I love the Insight Timer. In the manual you guys are getting, I added a bunch of apps that I know are helpful to people, but Insight Timer is the one that I love. All right, flower breath happens to be a favorite of a lot of kids. There's something about this one. I love it too. So, and also this, from spring into summer, the flower situation, in wherever you live, if you are somebody who is mindful and you're walking around your neighborhood, this is a practice you can do with kids, and notice the changing flowers and foliage as you do the same walk every day. That's something we did when we used to walk to school, is we just noticed the flowers on everybody's yard. And think about your favorite flower right now. What is your favorite flower right now? And if you don't have one, or if you have many, just think of one, or just think of your favorite flower color. Your hands are this flower. So we're going to inhale, and our petals are going to close. We're going to exhale, and our petals are going to open. So we're going to do it 2 times. So we inhale, and then we exhale. And the imagery is so nice. Just picturing your favorite flower. Inhale and exhale. And as we do it, just notice what's going on in your body as you practice these breaths. All right, heart and belly breath. So I also love this one for like moments when like if you are having trouble falling asleep. So I say this I ask kids all the time, like, do you have trouble sleeping at night? Every kid has trouble sleeping at night. And this is a good one to practice to help you calm yourself and fall asleep. It helps me a lot. So we're gonna take one hand, put it on your heart, and one hand, put it on your belly. And this one could be done sitting or laying down, however whatever a mindful body position you're in. And so we're going to inhale into your heart, exhale out of your heart. Inhale into your belly, exhale out of your belly. Let's just do one more inhale into your heart, exhale out of your heart. My air conditioning just went on, so if anybody hears and you want me to turn it off, I sure will. Inhale into your belly and exhale out of your belly. Nice job. All right, let's do the last two breaths. And I'm really excited. We still have time. We're gonna do a little yoga. I think it's good to move. So let's do roller coaster take 5, and then we're gonna do candle breath. Now, roller coaster take 5 is not on the poster, but I kind of use it as an anchor breath because the kids love it so much. So I kind of teach it with the anchor breath. And I have a new set of cards that's a few years old now, but I kind of redid them. And the original one had the same hand, so I kind of used them both in the same way. But roller coaster take 5, sometimes people call this one starfish. There's a lot of names for this. So just so you know, I didn't make all of these up. I find things and then I notice what works. So you might have your own breaths that you're going to consider an anchor breath. It doesn't have to be the breath I'm teaching you. But it's good to have a set of breaths that kids can always go back to, that they know are there. They have like the visuals of it, and that's just really nice as a reminder. All right, roller coaster take 5. So we're gonna go up our roller coaster hill with a big breath in, and then we go down the hill. Your work with preschoolers, you can do it this way, or first grade, kindergarten, first grade, you go up the hill, and then we go whee, down the hill. Let's just do one more. Inhale up and then exhale down. And kids love this, the sensory aspect of it. It's so soothing. And kids could put your hand, you can put your hand on a paper. You can trace your hand too with a pencil or marker. There's many ways you can do this one. All right, last one, candle breath. I love candle breath too. I say that about all of them. The kids are like, Miss Lani, you love everything, every single one. I do. That's why I teach them. All right, this is your birthday candle. So let's all pretend today is our birthday. Yay. So today's our birthday, and we get to make the first wish for ourselves. So when you inhale, I want you to think about something like a loving thing you can make a wish for yourself. Maybe not, it could be that you want something material like object, but it could be something, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I want it to be like a wish that makes you feel really good. Ready? Let's take a nice big wish. Ready? And now blow out your birthday candle. And if you're in the classroom with masks, obviously a lot of this stuff is going to be very different. So we're going to have to work on how to like make this work in a classroom, like with the masks. Like probably candle breath might not be the best one, but this one on Zoom or like when you're in your own home is a great one. So second wish, we're going to make for somebody else. Now I want you to think of somebody who can use some loving kindness right now, somebody who really needs a good wish from you. It could be like your best friend, or it could be your brother or sister, or it could be your family. It could be somebody who lives far away on the other side of the world. It could be a big group of people. It could be everybody. So you make that choice. Ready? Take a deep breath in Send that wish out. So we are going to finish with a third wish here, because this one is for our Mama Earth, right? Earth could use a big wish right now. Let's do it. Let's send some really giant wish to the Mama Earth. Because guess what? Our whole Earth right now, everybody in every country is in the same boat. When does that ever happen? We're all in the same place, feeling the same thing right now. And that's very rare. And so we all could really use something. So let's send a big wish to everybody on Earth right now. Ready? Take a deep breath in. And there you go. So just notice how all those breaths made you feel. Great job, everyone. So I am going to move. We're going to switch a little bit. And we're going to get into some yoga, because we haven't done any movement really at all. And the yoga part is really important for us. So when our amygdala, our bulldog, is out, our cortisol levels are like skyrocketing in our body, right? So if we can do a little exercise, that actually releases endorphins in our body that calms those cortisol levels. So exercise, which yoga is a kind of exercise, is a really helpful tool in calming the bulldog and waking up the wise owl. And the best part about yoga, it's another way to bring in the mindfulness practice and breathing. So they all work really well together. And the yoga poses that I'm going to do with you, I do in a classroom when teachers are wearing regular clothes and you don't need a mat, and you can do them standing up, and you don't need to be on the ground. So we do all standing poses, and that's how I teach it. Now that I'm doing a lot of Zoom, I've been able to like add some 2 minutes left. Oh. Really? Oh, okay. Let's just get up and move our body for 2 minutes. We should. Everybody stand up. And then next week, we're going to get deeper into the yoga. Okay. I have a very messy mat here. All right, here we go. Everybody, we're going to just find our mountain, because this is the base of all yoga. Find your mountain. All right. Spread your toes, all four corners of your feet. Stand up tall, palms together at your heart. We're just going to do a little mountain and volcano, because this is my favorite. So this is our mountain, standing up tall. There's 4 ways to do mountain. Just feeling your body on the earth. Maybe thinking about like a string coming from the top of your head to the ceiling. This is mountain. There's 4 ways. Let's bring our hands down. Everybody say mountain. Bring your arms up to the sky. Say mountain. And bring your palms together. Mountain. And then we're going to rub them like this. And we're going to go volcano. We're just going to do that 3 more times, just to like get a little movement and blood flowing in our bodies. Mountain. Volcano. Let's do that 2 more times. Mountain. Volcano. 1 more time. Mountain. Volcano. Nice job, everyone. This is our standing star. So just do a little twinkling star here to move your bodies a little bit. And we'll do all our star sequence next week. We'll start with, we're going to do all the yoga stuff next week. Awesome job, everyone. Jump your hands and feet together for your mountain. Let's just stand here. Take a big breath in. Let it out with the biggest sigh. And I want you to just notice how you're feeling. We didn't do a lot of yoga, but we did get up for a moment. And if you feel like doing that a few more times when we're done, you should, just to get a little bit of blood flowing after all that sitting. And gently open your eyes. Nice job. Let's take a giant step forward. And a giant step together. Awesome. So it is 2:30. I was going to do a little chime listening, but you know, it's so hard with timing. Oh, look at all you beautiful people here.
Thank Thank you so much, Lani. Oh my gosh, is this amazing? My mind is like, Dylan, what did you think? Did you enjoy that stuff?
Yeah, it's hard to keep everything in my mind.
Yeah.
I know, it's a lot to process. That's why you have a whole week to process it.
And the good news is everybody is going to receive by email the recording of each week's session that you can watch as many times as you like, anytime you want to refresh or review. What a resource you are, Lani. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. This was great.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I just want to say, as a human being, to see all of you who care so much about sharing these tools with children. It's so incredible to know that all of you are out there ready to share this. So I thank you for your service, either as a teacher or as a parent or a grandparent caregiver.
Yes.
For all the children right now.